Yeah, so basically you could walk like a total klutz and the footage is like incredibly stable. So just make it forward again. Yeah, so basically it just follows around your movements. I think actually this needs a bit of work because it's been set in. Yeah, Tom, I'm going to give it back to you.
Well, I'm just going to put the monitor on
But I
so
mean,
everyone can
yeah. So basically what it is, it's a high-end, so full frame sensor, which means you get all the benefits of full frame. So the one would be that you can discriminate by focus. So in other words, you can, like the feature film look is to basically guide your eye. The first go-to of every feature film is to guide your eye by virtue of sharpness. So you look in the frame at the person who's sharp. It's the first go-to. That's why they have a job called focus puller. I described this to a stills photographer, a friend of mine who works for National Geographic a lot, Brent Sturton, famous South African guy. He's got loads of awards and stuff. But he says like, so tell me, there's a guy and he changes the focus, but he doesn't get to look through and it's not automatic. And I go, yeah. He goes, that's crazy. There's a job like that? I go, yeah, it's called a focus puller. He goes, that's crazy. Like, so he by hand? It's like, yeah. So like there's this crazy job called focus puller, and it's because the creative function that's required is to creatively throw your attention around the frame. That's why you have a focus puller. And then Akioro Tanaka was our focus puller, and then the worst thing was that on this camera he had to pull the wrong way around. So 20 years of programming of you know, they say it's a piece of string that you wrap around the follow focus and then basically pull them in and you let them go. So like their whole life they've been pulling in this way. And then this is the month of the firmware upgrade apparently, where you can reverse the direction of the toggle, but it didn't come in our shoot. So for 3 days he had to rewire his brain to pull the wrong way around. So anyway, but looking at the benefits of full frame would be, first of all, it means that your pixel sights are now at the optimum pitch from each other, so you can get low noise environment, which means you can work a very high ISO. So basically the natives are 800 ISO. How's it on the low end? And then when we didn't believe any tests, we actually, Clive Sherlock took the camera for a day and a half and tested it and found that the high base was 4,000, started at 4,000. They say it's 5,000. But so that's an incredible base to work at, because suddenly you have gained a ton of light in exterior environments. So like I've got various clips. I got them last night. We just went to the DIT and got the transforms that he'd made. So we shot in 6K, and then at the moment, the best you can do is ProRes 422. At the moment, it killed us. Jean's camera actually arrived. It still had ProRes RAW, but apparently Red is fighting with, I don't know who.
They can't use it.
Oh,
So that's why
still.
we pulled it.
Okay, still, eh?
Yeah.
And
they don't want DJI to shoot cinematic RAW because they don't compete with their rates.
okay. And Quad 4, do you think that might come?
That's the one we're waiting for.
So it's
Confirmed, yeah.
confirmed. When they do the release?
Correct.
Okay, so it will become Quad 4, which is very good. Yeah, so there was ProRes RAW on Jean's camera, and then we had to roll the firmware forward twice, and it disappeared, damn it. It was like, because we had the visual impact camera, and then we had Jean's one that's like actually printed on it somewhere, like a demo only, or can't remember. Or not for resale. So we had the two as a safety. So there was this LBGTQ plus feature called Lowrider that we've just finished shooting. Like, in fact, we might do a pickup day tomorrow, I think. But we just finished shooting, and I was like, they gave me like a day's worth of telephone calls, and then I was hired, and then they started like the next day with a half-day meeting, and then we did 2 days of recce, and then we started 1 day break, and then we started after that. So 4.5 days from the call to working. And then I thought, well, it's the issue of the day. It's worth making a piece about it. So that was the one motivation. The rate was deeply terrible, like $2.5 a day, which is like, wouldn't even be respectful for paying assistant that. But then the other thing was, I said, well, I'll do it if I can use this. Because I thought, you know, it's a movie, it's like a road movie, like a British person comes over, a girl, and she learns more about herself and her Africanness and her identity in the LGBTQ sense as she goes. And it was like a road movie where they were always on their feet. If they were always on their feet talking, or they were like in the car. And that obviously in the car stuff was the most difficult, even constrained environments. And there's a reason why every American road movie is an American car, because they're 3 people wide. Thank you. But at least they got a double cab bucky, thank the Lord. They got the very first of the Toyotas, though, which means it's got like 4 sets of leaf springs, like a horse and carriage. So the very, very, very bumpy. It was awful. But this thing was amazing. So let's go through all the things that it can do. So first of all, full frame, which is astounding, just anyway. I mean, to get the next full frame camera that you could afford, well, that's not a DSLR. I mean, there's an LF standing right there. So it's a massive price point difference. Then the thing is that not only so these handles here, so the left hand, Tom will give you a more granular technical explanation. I'm just going to do the idiot's one. But basically this left handle is like you can able to, pan, tilt, etc. And it has various functions for exposure and whatnot, whatever. And the right hand is like focus. But then how's this? You just pop those handles off onto the monitor and all the same functions go through to here. And then we got the one spare because we thought, well, we at some stage we need a second camera. We had like a couple of stunts, but not many. And like a 2-camera shoot runs slower than a 1-camera shoot. But we just got it because, there are only 4 in South Africa. So we figured better have some kind of plan B in case this technology goes crazy, which it never did. I think point-something% of the time when you're facing the camera backwards into the back window, trying to get the physically more away because you're dealing with things like minimum distances of focus, MOD, and stuff like that, did it sometimes go a bit crazy. But a tiny proportion of like 100 times, it would be like a fraction of the time that it actually went crazy, which for such a massive piece of high tech, it's amazing. One thing also to bear in mind, like it's actually, so there's a lot of drone tech, so it's sonar pinging the ground underneath your feet all the time. And another thing we found that when we did car shoots, the chicken neck, as you call it, like in the one shot you can hear, ka-clang, ka-clang, everything's rattling, but the shot's like perfectly steady. This is insane. It's like really insane. So if you watch the little 4D demo online, wildly misleading, because they talk about things as if they're solid and as if they exist. You can't buy this stuff yet. They go, oh, the 8K sensor this and the remote focus that. You can't buy any of that shit yet. So you have to be careful, because if you say to someone and you send them the link, they think that everything's true in there. And it's always like there's this modern phenomenon of announcement. Announcement makes everyone think it exists. And they say, no, it's like 6 months until the first one appears, and then it doesn't have all the functions they spoke about yet. That's another 6 months worth of firmware upgrades into the actual working. So there's quite a slip twixt the cup and the lip in this case. So one thing we would love is like they've got like a pro focusing device that you can pre-order but doesn't exist yet, because then Aki or focus puller can actually pull in the directions that they're used to, which would be very, very helpful, because this 3-day mind meld to turn people's directions, and even then the throw is insufficient. He had one hand and another one waiting to help that hand to get enough rotation to do enough for the pulls required. So that was an interesting discovery. But basically, look at what you get for free. So you basically you could be the most rubbish operator in the world, and you can pull off the most virtuoso Steadicam shots you can dream of. Like literally, imagination's the big limit here. So basically, I like to think of myself as, to me, for handheld shots, I think like you have money, and do it like that. So then from the air I'm going to circle someone equidistant, and then I'm going to start like going further away. I'm going to describe like a question mark from the air, go away from them. Then I'm going to try and find this person in the background. Then I'm going to try and pick up the card. Then I'll see mostly sky and avoid the whole catering village. I'll work my way around them, and then so you just do these crazy things that you think there's not a snowball's chance in hell that you can afford to do. It does it all. And it doesn't drop the ball at all. It's like really amazing what you can do with this. It's like, you could just go like, okay, how would we do this normally? It would be steady cams with, what's that Arri thing called that goes up and down? Trinity. It would be Trinity. It would be a horde of people all galumphing around. It would be, how would you achieve this normally? It would be like a massive exercise would require rehearsals, all of that. So we had a very unplanned shoot. And so I figured, well, at least we're nimble on our feet and we're able to quickly respond. So even if everything else chews up all the time, and this is how it worked, that at the very death, that we'd only have so much time left, and we go, and pretty much get it all, and we just like, oh, well, the only thing we didn't get are the reverses on her, and we just like hoover up those, and then that would be it before we'd have to go on to the next thing. So it was like a quick cleanup tool. So I kind of like generally got it was a script writer directing, so obviously not strong in the practical sense. So we just basically helped set up like the big axis of movement, like mostly that would be the background for this person, and mostly that would be the background for the other. And then when it's a threesome, then you get the split eye line problem. We tick-tock there-ish, and then that would work that piece. So you kind of work out the basics of the blocking, and you pretty much shoot the rehearsal in case you got some gold that you never expected, and then you clean up whatever you didn't get, and then if you even had time for some close-up pickups, you go like, why don't you like open that door again, or rev, or do whatever, clean. So like pretty could be really fast because you never needed a head and legs. You never need to rest the damn thing on anything. Sometimes we just had a steady bag on a box just to make sure that you came at the shot with fresh arms. But there was one shot that was 13 minutes. I only planned one point in it, that when they kissed and exchanged smoke from a cigarette, there was that, and then that turned into a kiss. I just wanted to land there for that. It's the only thing that I wanted to. The rest was just, to borrow a word from Kelly Slater, as an expression session. So you just go like, okay, I know we need to hit that, that's important, but then the rest of it, expression session, you see if you can circle someone fast enough. My trick was always to like get around the village, because out of the 360 degrees, let's say you quarantine off, 60 degrees of like units and cars and all that cuck. And then for that, I would like go low and look up and then go around someone. So I'd get around that problem and then carry on. And then also with our lighting, what we did is like, we also unconventional lights. It's also basically like a Chinese co-production, this, because we basically use like NAN lights and all the stuff from Stacy Kepler from Zuti, which was all like powered on batteries, or you charge the lights themselves. The 5000 ISO was a surprise. I didn't even know I had it at the time I committed to this camera. I didn't know anyway. It was a surprising, amazing discovery, because at night we would use like lights set to like 5%, 2%. With the Godox ones, we couldn't even get them low enough. We ended up having to put like a foam core in front of them to kill off. There's too much light coming from them. So it was really crazy. The gaffers were like all traditional people, the gaffer and his best boy. They were like, what? Like they kept thinking, don't you need a Jenny for this and a cabling for that? And I'm like, dude, have you checked out how this worked? And so eventually we were taking like those NAN light tubes and hanging them on wire to look like they were part of the street. So we were like always trying to make it like, can we make it look like a municipal light? Just happened to be there. Or sometimes we'd put tubes far away just to make defocused blobs, so that in the deep distance behind someone, you put the thing amongst the bush so it lit up some bush around it, so that there'd be a sense of something. Because sometimes when you're in places like Philadelphia and Philippopolis, I can't remember exactly where we were, but sometimes it's like just total farmy darkness out there. So it gives you like a new lighting philosophy. And it's clean, it's proper clean. So it was clean at 4,000 from our tests, not from believing anything that anyone wrote. Because so Clive Schurler, our DIT, he has a trans child as well. So he felt invested in the issue and it was important to him. So he went through and he tested everything. So, because you can't believe the internet version, because often it's wildly hopeful, and this may become true in like full firmware upgrades, but like, is it true now? And also like actually test, don't just believe the people on the internet, because it's just nonsense most of the time as well. Also, what worked surprisingly is that you can mount a lens onto it and just treat it as a camera, just ignoring all of its gimbal abilities, because the script in our case, besides all being handy-heldy for the vast majority, it needed some observational from far away vibe of like reading someone coming into a car showroom and asking a salesman a question and leaving, and just had to tell that in the gestures, but seen through layers of glass and people and whatnot. So that was totally possible. even though the internet mostly says it isn't. That one wildly irritating idiot, what's his name again? Philip Goddamn Bloom. Yeah, so who's just a self-promotional person who wants you to watch his dog shit videos and will delay any piece of information after you've watched Brighton Pier shot by him. I don't know why, but then he'll give you some nugget of nonsense later. Ugh, anyway, so these internet fools are wildly irritating that you have to watch through all their nonsense, but you can mount this lens and it does work just fine. So there we go.
So you can unmount it off the tripod and still get that like shaky handheld look, or does it?
You can always get shaky handheld look. Yeah, just switch off 4D. Yeah, so as I did by mistake the one time, twice. Yeah, so yeah, shaky handheld is always an option.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, you literally get to look so good on this. You can be such a rubbish operator. I mean, you still have to have. You can walk in galoshes, galumfi, and it takes it all out. You literally can't see the footfalls. I mean, obviously you still have to have imagination and have to have some, so I like to see my trick for me. I mean, I'm not saying it works for anyone else, but I like to see myself from the air. I have to have like a from the air plan. I'm going like this, I'm going to circle around here, I'm going to try to find this person. This should be a bit of time for the indecision between the two people. So I'll try to be there and I'll try to end up here so that when it goes around the bonnet, they should be in that person's background. So I try think from the air. And I try to think like I'm rich and I've got Michael Bay's money or something. And then somehow you get it's like you have an aspirational desire for a shot. It sort of revs you up to do it, because otherwise you're just stuck, you know. It's like, oh, well, I'm stuck with this. And it's like, okay, I'll let that be a wipe then. And then, boop, come out the other side and maybe see something meaningful. And also like, you know, if you have the kiss of death, from the shoulder-mounted things, like those shoulder rigs. Like to me, I instantly can't stand someone if this is what they come with. Every shot has its own height, and it's not shoulder height. If you want everything to look like deeply terrible, go for a shoulder rig. It'll guarantee rubbish shots for the rest of your life, and we will not be friends. I think every shot requires its own height, because like when you do like a full-length shot, you put the horizon here. When you shoot the companion tighter shot, you need to change height to put the horizon here. And when you're doing the headshot, the horizon needs to be somewhere here so that you share a little companion set of images for the edit, right? This involves a height change. Oh my word, you don't get to do that from the shoulder. So I have a great disparaging opinion of shoulder rigs, and it is what it is. So you decide whether you like me or not. But anyway, but height changes a lot. So we were changing height a lot, and it was amazing how easy it was, because what's your alternative? If this would be an ARRI Mini in a Movi ring with then a secondary supplier supplying focus, or ARRI WCU4 focus, with all of its attendant bits, cables, bongo ties, batteries, and then video transmission with all of those extra bits. So this all adds up into this big smooshy mess. Then also monitor-wise, when it's low, then it has to be here, and then medium there, and then high there. So all of those problems just disappeared, because I've done that exact thing before with Paul Gilpin, our second camera operator on the lovable De Antwoord's second movie. And then I was handed this rig at the last minute. But also endurance is really taxed, because it's a lot of weight and it's also at extension. So weight close to your core is very manageable, but weight at extension is really tough. And then also height changes really become problematic. So the longest shot we did was 13 minutes, and you can totally keep up with it, and also do things like rest it on your knee, previously unforgivable things, because you would notice and you don't, because it compensates in the Z-axis in American, or Z if we're in the English-speaking world. But so you can really attempt quite like astounding things with this camera. And so basically, I'm not sure what mode it's in now, I'm sure. But basically, I was just using it in where it follows your inputs. Let me just get to that. Follow, I think. It should follow. Yeah, so I was just using it in follow, where I would, and I just got used to pushing it around to some degree where it was standard. But I mean, any one of you could take this camera and walk around a little bit. can I just give it to you one by one and just walk around a little bit? So just obviously don't drop it and stuff, and you know the story.
What's the lowest you can get?
And then just I hook your thumb here, maybe. Yeah. What's the lowest?
So, I mean, one would want to go under sun if they want to get.
Well, actually, what one of the people in the previous session to you just took it and pointed it down and actually worked fine. I never did that. I always held it like this. I suppose because I was always thinking of the rest of the shot that I would need that, and I was worried that if I did this, I'd be stuck with trying to get out of that. But actually, he just went like this and had it pointed low, and it worked fine. So you can go as low as you want. I never did that because I was always being slightly cautious, I guess, because I have a whole rest of the shot. It's all joined together. I can't have any on-the-job learning because ordinarily you'd shake this down for a week and a bit. You'd do homework. You'd plan. I normally like for Shelto Copley, he of the A team and District. What was it? D9. District 9, D9. Yeah, we'd take like. Screen grabs of aerial shots of the location, and then I would draw on top. I'd draw all the camera movements as they changed lenses and stuff. We'd map it all out. We'd do real homework, and in this case, we just like started just like straight away. So the assistants know much more about the working of the camera than I do. I know about sort of the experience of working with it, and I staked my career in it, and I said, well, I'll only do the movies at this rubbish rate because I care about the issue and I can learn this new tool. So that was it. And it's like, otherwise I'm not interested. So there you go. It's sometimes worth like sticking your neck out, it would appear. I'll take your question and I'll take yours.
Yeah, so the DJI allowed you actually to do most of your shots like handheld?
Everything.
Okay.
Everything. We only did a couple of exceptions. I think we did like 6 shots like this. And everything else is handheld. And otherwise, even if it's not handheld, you just hold it, and it's like rock steady. It's like it's not dodgy. It's just rock steady. So, like you just lose your tracks. You've just lost your head and legs. I mean, we used a box with a steady bag to put it down to rest. We didn't use tripod. So your question.
So, is that a LiDAR focus system?
Yes. Yeah.
Did you use that on your sets?
Well, Aki can talk to that. Aki Horo. He's sitting back here. Okay, so give it maybe to the next guy. So just one by one, are you guys okay to play a little bit while we carry on talking? You don't feel that it's distracting?